Hello, all you hardcore boxing fans out there. How are you doing? It's Big Porky here, the voice of hardcore boxing. But then again, you know that, don't you? So that's why you've tuned in. First of all, I'm giving away 10 Dennis Hobson's White Collar Boxing t-shirts for the first 10 people that email me on porkycorner@mail.com telling me when Dennis was the last time he won a British title with one of the fighters that he promotes. So tell me the exact date and the two fighters involved in the fight and when it happened, yeah? All right? The first 10 get free t-shirts. Second thing I want to point out, I want to give a big shout out to Applied Nutrition. I'm training like a Spartan on this. Makes your head tingle a little bit, but very good stuff. And they do a recovery drink as well. I've been given some of that, so thank you very much. Thirdly, I want to give a big shout out to all them people that have joined my members area and share the videos and like and subscribe and leave a comment. So, and all them people that watch it to the very end, because a lot of people are watching videos to end now instead of just cocking off after 60% of video. So it's up to 82%. So brilliant. Thanks for watching. Today I'm joined by my good friend Terry from London. Terry the banker. How are you doing, Terry? You okay?
I'm good, mate. How are you? Mate, you've been busy this week. A lot of people ask me, yo, where's Porky this week? I had to let the streets know. I'm like, listen, he's doing a lot of stuff in the shadows that's going to come to light soon enough.
Yeah. I've been in Essex, Sussex, Manchester, Bolton. A lot of things going on, and I'm more or less a one-man band. Now, obviously, I get a bit of help, but I do everything hands-on myself, don't I? I'm out there in the field.
and it's just a reminder to some of the guys that listen and go, I thought Russ was for the fans and so forth. Man, people forget Russ, like driving up and down, driving across the country, that's petrol money. You got to get stuff filmed and stuff. Like, there's a reason why you've got to charge a membership fee, and it's not to be rich and it's not to screw the fans over. It's literally to cover the costs of giving you the good content.
300 quid spent in expenses since Saturday. 320 quid, something like that. Not cheap, is it?
Nah.
Well, thank you very much. But it's what I enjoy, and you can't beat driving from Tunbridge Wells onto M25 in 2 foot of water for about an hour. Do you know what I mean? That's great. That everybody's dream, that, isn't it? Driving home up north, or sat on your own in an hotel in Essex, watching England get beat on penalties. That's really exciting, isn't it? It's all Charlie Sheen ripping shit up, isn't it? I'm proper ripping it up, aren't I? Sat there on my own, Billy No mates, weed. But yeah, I'm going to go into a controversial topic straight away here. Spencer Fearon, who's welcome on my channel anytime. Let's get some respect off me for once. He went on Ultratech's show last night, and there was some hot debating going on for about an hour and a half. I want to ask you, Terry, why do you think that Spencer Fearon gets so much hate, and why he's so popular? Why could you put light on
that? So I like Spencer in the same way I like Johnny Nelson, and I'll explain why. Spencer's been boxing since he was 10, right? And he must be in his mid-40s now. So he's been in this sport longer than a lot of the listeners have been alive. So when you've put that much into the sport, my thing is you should always be able to draw a living from it. So that's why I like Spencer. I like the fact that we've got someone who's kind of seen the sport grow. Yeah. Like he can talk about guys like Kevin Lushing every bit as easy as he can talk about guys like Dillian White.
Anthony Small.
He's been around all of them. I think the problem with Spencer is he doesn't fit the mold. So, like boxing fans are comfortable with guys like Carl Froch, guys like Crawler. They fit the mold. They fly pretty straight in terms of boxing, right? Mm. Apart from Froch is talking about the flat earth, then he gets a hard time for that.
Gets stick, yeah.
But like with Spencer, the Muslim thing gets a lot of people's back up. The fact that I think people say that he always supports the black fighter, which annoys people. There are all these, I think there are a number of different reasons, and I could be cynical and say ultimately it's all about race, but I don't know if that's true or not. So I have to go on the various reasons people give. And I think because he's not afraid to go in different directions, I think he just rubs people up the wrong way because they're not used to someone being like that. Because he almost tried to be like the British Stephen A. Smith for a bit, didn't he?
Yeah.
Just that kind of that rabble rouser, the guy who's going to say something to get the fans animated and tweeting.
He nearly lost his job, didn't he, Stephen A. Smith?
Of what he said about the Japanese guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had to grovel. But interestingly enough, he said something equally derogatory about the Nigerian basketball team and no apology issued.
I know. Is it true that Spencer Fearon once said that Emil Griffiths is his great-great-grandfather on his mum's side or something? Is that true? Or is that just Spencer going off on one?
That's in the same bucket as everyone in boxing is Spencer Fearon's best mate.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Spencer, you've got an opportunity to come on Porky's Corner and answer some boxing questions.
But I will say this about him, right? In person, Spencer Fearon is one of the coolest people in boxing you'll meet.
Yeah. Good. Okay. Why do IFL need to be asking about football and society questions when it's a boxing channel? What do you think about that? They're getting some stick yesterday and today. Are they doing it for views? Why have they got the usual crowd on, all the Monday morning sermon men? Why have they got all them on that are talking about football and not boxing?
Okay, so you have to tell me what happened.
Well, obviously there's the England game in there. It's a hot topic in it about race, and we're going to come to that with Spencer Fearon. Well, basically Spencer Fearon's come out and he said that as soon as Rashford missed that first penalty out of the three that the three young lads missed, he went in his bedroom, broke down crying, and said that he knew that they were going to get hammered because they missed a penalty and that cost the black men.
So I'll give you my take on that from the Sunday, right? When Rashford missed, I messaged a good friend of mine and I said, mate, the monkey emojis are probably out already, right? And then Sancho missed and I said, this is bad. Like, this is, there might be videos of people getting beaten up for the color of their skin after this. And then I saw Saka walking up to take a penalty. And I actually said to a friend of mine, I said, where's the leadership in this England team? You wouldn't put a 19-year-old black kid to take a third penalty after two have missed. Never taken a penalty at club level. And I'm not saying this was deliberate, by the way, but there was a failure of leadership that meant that young kid carried the can for basically what was an inability to win a game. We couldn't win a game in 90 minutes. We couldn't win a game in 120 minutes because our coach doesn't know how to attack. And the young kid Saka is paying a heavy price for it. Now, should that be discussed on IFL? Part of it should be, Russ, and I'll tell you why.
Why?
A lot of those guys hurling the abuse are also boxing fans. So if they're throwing that sort of mud at Saka, Sancho, and Rashford, what are they doing to guys like Anthony Yard and Lyndon Arthur and Umar Sadiq and Dillian White and Anthony Joshua? Do you see what I mean? Because do you remember us last year when Joshua gave that speech? Right? And
nobody said anything about that, did they? Nobody said a word, did they, really?
But Twitter went crazy about that.
Yeah, but it got shut down, didn't it, within days? The Sky never gave it air, did the Matchroom didn't?
Well, they saw the reaction and they just said, and then so here's where the two come together, Russ. Matchroom saw the reaction, realized that a lot of the people kicking off, who are also, paradoxically, I think, the same people who are probably making the monkey emojis, are likely to be people who consume the Matchroom product. So they just said, we don't want to get involved in this. The quicker it goes away, the better for all of us, right? And so I tweeted something earlier this week and I said, Eddie Hearn and Matchroom, and adding IFL as well, they've created this culture in which we creep very closely to the line where things are jokey and having a laugh and a bit of banter. But if you take that one step extra, it becomes quite sinister.
Yeah.
So if you look at Fury versus Wilder, at various points that threatened to bubble over in terms of race, especially in the second fight. You know, that threatened to bubble over. I think when the Joshua Fury talks were happening, that also threatened to bubble over. So I can see why you talk about it. I just don't think IFL have the core group of guests who could do it justice.
All right, then, let me throw a curveball at you. Michael Owen scored a penalty in a penalty shootout, age 18, in the World Cup, not the Euros, the World Cup. And if he'd have missed, would he have got hammered?
Yes.
All right. Well, he
didn't. Well, remember David Beckham, 1998. We remember we know what these England fans are like, Russ. They're horrible motherfuckers. They're horrible.
Yeah.
They're horrible.
Well, the National Front, are they, do you think? Or is it that kind of thing? Or
I think it's loads of things. I think and I'm going to be honest, like the racist part of it is a small proportion. I think Channel 4 did an analysis of about 1 million tweets that went out after that penalty shootout. And only about 1,400 of them were racist. And of those, about 126 were like threats to life or threats to family. Jeez. So when you look at it in that perspective, it's tiny, right? But what ends up happening is because everyone thinks the right thing to do is to screen grab and retweet and name and shame, it creates this massive storm where people then say 99% of this country is racist. I don't believe that's true. I think there are racists in this country, and I think we have to address them in the same way we have to address the rapists, in the same way we have to address the pedophiles. We need to root out people who make our country shit, basically, and let's expose them for the scumbags that they are.
Do you think, Terry, that what we spoke about 2 years ago, I think it might have been 2.5 years ago, when you said that why don't all social media platforms, is there something like about 13 or 14 platforms, across the world, isn't there?
Yeah.
Why don't all of them 13, 14 platforms charge everybody £1 a year to use it? And they have to give the bank details and all the name and that, and then they can be brought to justice. Do you think that now is looking a bit better than ever? Because couldn't all that money be given to some sort of charities? I mean, we could have what is the 4 billion that use social media? So couldn't we have 4 billion a year going to some organisations or something like that?
Yeah. So here's my take on it, Russ.
Yeah.
I think verification should be essential. I think social media companies are no longer just platforms now. They're an essential public utility. The governments use social media to, in some cases, force citizens to get vaccinated. Like the peer pressure has been real.
Mm.
So we understand that these things have a value in our society, but there's no accountability. So Russ, and you know this more than anyone because I've read some of the stuff that's been sent your way.
Yeah.
And people are faceless. I promise you this now. If someone's name and address came into my inbox after they tweeted me, they wouldn't say half the stuff they say.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say any of it, in fact. If I could go and visit them and say, I'm here now, say it. They wouldn't say any of it. But when you allow people to be anonymous, what ends up happening actually is they just act the fool. And then when you catch up with them, they all try and act like, it was a misunderstanding.
Selfies. They wanted selfies with me. One of them I collared in a pub. I seen he come up to me. He wanted a selfie. I went, who is it? He went, yeah. I went, whoa, get your hand off me. I believe it.
It's crazy, isn't it, Russ? So
believe it.
So I'd like there to be a verification thing, but I tell you why you'll never see that. Well, there are two reasons. One, these social media companies are too rich. They'll just buy politicians off if they have to. The second reason is you suddenly realize these platforms aren't as big as people make out. I don't believe, if someone said to me, I think 80% of accounts on Twitter do nothing on the platform. They're either bot accounts, they're lurker accounts, burner accounts. They're not real people. Like, they're not real people's primary account. And Twitter knows that. It just doesn't want to admit it because then his valuation would fall by 80% at least.
Well, my take on it is this, right? We live in a democracy, so we should all be able to have an opinion on most things. I like to give an opinion on boxing, whether I can be quite curt with my words or whatever, or challenging, whatever. But I'm not hiding behind a camera. I'm in front of a camera. I'm not hiding behind an account. People who have the opportunity to come on here and challenge my views, and I think that everybody should be like that. But the accounts that people are setting up on YouTube, on Twitter, I mean, people like use soap stars' names, don't they, or characters out of soaps to set up accounts and things like that. And why not just use your own name and be yourself? You know, I don't get that. I don't get this people behind the camera thing. I have a problem with it because if somebody's gonna abuse you, let's at least see them. Or if somebody's critical of you, I like to see them. I think that's only fair to you because it's like unseen enemy, isn't it? You know, you don't
No,
know.
so for example, Russ, I don't mind someone being behind the camera, like Cougar's behind the camera, but I can
But
see
we know
him
we know who he is though, don't we? Yeah, we know who he is.
Yeah, yeah. If you're known, like if you move around the scene, if you're known to people, it's fine being around the camera.
Yeah, it's sending me mad that.
Yeah. But you can't be the faceless guy throwing rocks all the time and then no one sees you. Because it's like, well, you mean you're not really involved in the sport then, are you? You're just throwing rocks from the outside.
I know, yeah. It's I think something's gonna have to give sooner or later. I think touch wood it doesn't happen, but I think it's possible that we could maybe have a murder on our hands or somebody severely injured because social media or somebody taking it into their own hands and going and doing something horrific. And I think then probably they might sit and wake up, these big social media platform owners.
Too much money, Russ. Far too much money.
Is it too much at stake, do you think?
Yeah, they're too rich. They have no interest in being regulated. That is their ultimate aim, is we do not want to be regulated. And they will do whatever it takes not to be regulated.
Well, how about
that's the sad thing.
Yeah, well, how about these racist tweets? Aren't them people getting reported?
So one of us has been arrested. I don't know if he's been charged yet, but he's been arrested. I think it was the guy who claimed that his phone was stolen or hacked or something. And he didn't realize that you can prove that very easy with technology. So I think he submitted his phone to the police, and it turns out, I mean, there's a case to answer there. So we'll see if he gets charged or not. I don't know if that really helps. Like, so here's the thing. I'm not a fan of people losing their jobs for no other reason, Russ, that they got to work somewhere, right? Otherwise, we're paying for them.
Yeah.
But I am a fan of the old days. Remember the old days when they just get a knock?
Curtis Woodhouse.
Well, a bit darker than that. But remember the old days, like I remember when I was a kid growing up, if you racially abuse someone and you call them a black, I can't say it on here because you got monetized this, Russ. Yeah. There'd be 20 lads outside your school, or there'd be 20 lads outside your house going, okay, if you can say that to my face right now, we'll let you walk away. And you see these kids just dribbling and shaking and can't even get the words out. And you just realize that that's how things need to get handled. But in this era of people with camera phones and, it's created a real snitch culture where people don't want to get involved anymore. I'd love that, Russ. Honestly, for a week, if you turned off all CCTV, disabled all camera phones, just for a week, I think we could get some common sense in this country.
Do you think that guy who was a boxer who had a blue tick, you think he'll get done? Who'll put that racist tweet out?
Stephen Donnelly. I'll name names. I don't think he will, because isn't he an MTK fighter?
O'Hara tweeted something about it. Somebody said.
Yeah, well, O'Hara said, look, MTK, you're going to keep this guy on your roster. Now, there are people who on MTK who have said questionable things many times. Whether they're fighters, whether they're part of the office staff, they've said things. And it always seems to go away because MTK know people are too scared to say what they want to say. As far as I'm concerned, if MTK don't clamp down on this sort of racism, then, do you know what I mean? They're the problem. And I'm not afraid to say that. I'd say to anyone who's involved.
What about Yeah, go on, sorry.
How can you be that tone deaf? That's the first thing you're going to say to a boxer with a high profile. Like, it's embarrassing. And you've got a blue tick as well. Who did he think that was going to impress? For God's sake.
I know. what if Stephen Donnelly came out and said he got hacked, like Anthony Joshua when he had the tweets to Eddie Chambers, the direct messages? He came out and said he got hacked. If Stephen Donnelly says that, does it go away then?
So that one never went away because I think they accepted in the end that AJ wasn't hacked.
Yeah, but Hearn told a different story to Matt, to Sky, and to Anthony Joshua, though, didn't he? So there were 3 stories doing the rounds, weren't there?
Yeah. I think ultimately, I think the public generally accept that was Joshua that tweeted that. You only have to go into Snapchat to realize it was probably him. If Stephen Donnelly was hacked, cool. Hand your phone in. Yeah, we will be able to work out if you were hacked or not. Hand your phone
in. How can they work that out, like, if they've been hacked, yeah?
Yeah. So Russ, for every tweet, it will have the device ID, the make of the device, the model, the firmware it's got, the operating system is running at that precise moment, you're geo-tagged on that. But just from a tweet, the metadata on a tweet, you can't fake that.
All right, then.
That's how they know it's you. Like, when you try and sign up for a new Twitter account and they say, no, not today, mate.
Yeah, when I tried before and I got banned, they don't have it, do they? Because it's the same.
That's how it knows you.
Yeah. So that's why I give up. Yeah, I can't do it from my house or here, so I just said, you know what, fuck you, and people send me screenshots. You know what, my life's so much better without it, Terry, because I was addicted to it when at one point. Yeah,
no, you look healthier, man. You're looking tan, looking lighter, trim.
I feel it. I've trained all down to applied nutrition, AB, about billions. Adrian Broner. about bankrupt, more like in my case. Staying with the Spencer Fearon issue, obviously he went on Ultra's show last night, and I got it at the back of the back. I got it at the back end, so I had to go right to the beginning and find actually when it started. But I got it at the back, last 5 minutes when I got it. But what I was a bit disappointed about from Ultra, I don't know if it's good because I'm an Ultra fan, even though he's behind the camera. What I was disappointed about was that he never asked any questions about MTK. He never asked about Saunders, did he quit? He never asked why Fury is staying silent about this COVID thing, but yet strutting around Vegas, test driving supercars. We know mask on, but it's supposed to have COVID. So I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's because it's MTK and they don't want to ask, or if it's because they weren't prepared. But I'd be prepared if I had Spencer Fearon coming on here. Spencer, you're welcome on here anytime you want, if you want to grow a pair. But do you feel that Spencer could end up shooting his Senate foot if he wants to come out and accept challenges to come on YouTube channel? Do you think he might drop a clanger?
Nah. He's been around this too much. He knows within reason. He knows what to say. The Oscar Rivas thing was a massive own goal on his behalf, and I think that's kind of burned him a bit.
Well, that fried him at Sky, didn't it? Basically, from what I've heard from a few different sources, and I don't mean HP source, Tutti Frutti, which is all right with a bit of bacon in it and no bread. He shot it, basically, he hung himself at Sky, didn't he, with Oscar Rivers carry on, because they nearly got sued, didn't they, or something, and I think that's...
Well, no, they were going to get sued. That was the whole point.
Yeah. Didn't he pass the buck onto somebody else, or say he'd been misinformed, or I don't know.
But once you say it, you're liable for what you say. And then not only that, but the publisher's also liable for publishing it.
Which was, IFL.
Mm-hmm.
But they soon shut it down, didn't they?
Yeah, they had to beg for mercy.
Do you feel that Billy Joe Saunders, after, 12 weeks or something, do you think 11 week or whatever it is, do you think he'll ever come out and do an interview regarding the Canelo fight and how it ended, or do you think they're just going to do what those sort of people do in these situations and just don't give it airtime? You know, basically, when they're backed into a corner and it looks like they're guilty, they don't seem to give things airtime, do they? Hearn does it a lot, doesn't he? It's the old the Queen. The Queen used to do it for years. They just think when the royals were questioned, they just won't give anything airtime, would they? It's very rare, isn't it? You feel that Billy won't ever do an interview on IFL because isn't Coogan supposed to be his man? And Coogan said to the like family, and any other time we can't shut Billy Joe Saunders up. But yeah, there's nothing coming from Billy Joe Saunders regarding the Canelo fight. Do you feel that's how it'll go?
I think what will happen, Russ, is Billy will come out and he'll say, look, I fought Canelo. I thought I could beat him. I couldn't. It's all in the past now. I'm just looking forward to the future. That's pretty much what he'll say.
That's company man stuff, though, isn't it? It's not giving the fans what they want. We want to know what was said in corner. Now, I believe Mark Tibbs. I mean, we saw the original video. Billy came back, complained about his eye. Mark Tibbs said, and I quote, and I've still got it on here, have you got another round in you? And he went like that. Right? Davidson whispered in his ear. Mark Tibbs waved it off. Then did an interview with Phelps and IFL and said he was disappointed with Billy's reaction. He pulled the fight and blah, blah, blah. And he's got to look after his fighter and he loves him and his mate and all that. Nothing was wrong with that, what Mark Tibbs did. It's the cover-up afterwards that I don't like. You're a trainer yourself. If you've got somebody putting their spoken in your corner, you're not going to have it, are you? But what happened afterwards were they dubbed the highlights on DAZN. They dubbed every single round, what was said. And the YouTubers, the little click, what do you call them, disc jockeys or something, or camera jockeys.
Yeah.
They took it all down and all that, blah, blah, blah. But since then, nobody seems to have pushed the issue, do they? With Mark Tibbs or with Billy. And I don't think that's fair because you can't come out and slate Daniel DeBar like Billy did and have an opinion on everybody else, and then when it's your turn, go missing. Do you think that's fair on the fans, or are we just here to be mugged off? Is it the Billy Joe Saunders show? And why can't Coogan come out and say, well, I've tried to get Billy to do this, blah, blah, blah. They're just giving it the old silent treatment. Do you think that's fair for the sport and fans? I know we're being mugged off.
To be honest, Russ,
yeah,
boxing fans should have turned Billy Joe off a long time ago. After the Willie Monroe fight, they should have turned him off a long time ago. If you're still running around Billy Joe expecting to get something from him, then I don't know. I don't know how many brain cells you've got. Like, do you see what I mean? Like, he's not there to... He doesn't care about you, but you care about him. It doesn't make sense. People should just wash their hands of Billy Joe and say, do you know what? The kid tried. He wasn't good enough. He's no patch on James DeGale, is how I'd have looked at it.
Right. Do you feel that Billy Joe had never been in a firefight, and then when he got in a firefight, he had a mental breakdown and thought, I don't like the situation that I'm in here. I've never been here before. I don't like it. Teddy Atlas uses a great term, and Carl Froch likes this term. We're firefighters. We're going to put the fire out. You bite down on your gum shield and you put that fire out. You feel that when the heat came, and it was too much for Billy, and he thought, I've never been here before. We're not saying the kid hasn't got ability because he's got skills, super off the chart skills to burn, hasn't he? Defensively.
No.
I think he's got super skills, for Southpaw, don't you think?
No.
You don't think he's that good?
I think he's okay.
I think he's got. All right, let me finish. I think he's got skills to burn, but I don't think he's been in a firefight. You just think he's okay. I think he's got. You think he's just like a 7.5, 8 out of 10 across the board, don't you?
Okay, so is he a better southpaw than James DeGale? Okay, is a prime Billy Joe a better southpaw than a prime James DeGale? I
think James DeGale's a 9 out of 10 as a southpaw, but he's got other things that he lacks that Billy better than. Because Froch isn't as skillful as both of them, but what he lacks in one area, he more than makes up for in others, doesn't he? Do you see where I'm coming from? But Billy's like a 7.5, an 8 out of 10 across everything, isn't he? You know what I mean?
If Billy Joe was orthodox, he'd be very, very easy to run over. Because he's southpaw, you've just got that advantage of that extra split second to see the power hand coming. So it's advantageous for him. But I think when I look at Bill, I look at a career where he never quite kicked on. From when he was about 24, he never really kicked on. because he never challenged himself. So what happened when he fought Canelo, for me, is he fought someone who was as quick as he was, who was as slick as he was, who had a better boxing brain than he did. And he suddenly realized, I can't put a dent in this kid. And he's not going away. And I think with all of that can just get there, and then you just go, oh, actually, you know what? I don't need this sort of hassle. And it happens, like you know what it is, Russ? Like when you're in the ring and it ain't going your way and you're just getting hit and you can feel every one of those shots, you start thinking about stuff that's not related to the fight. You start going, why am I even here? Like, I'm sure I've got a tanning appointment on Tuesday. I wonder if I want to make. You start thinking about other stuff, and that's when you know your head's just not in the fight. And I think that's.
We've never seen him hit. We've never seen him hit before, and it was when I seen him hit, because I thought inside myself, I thought it'll go 12 rounds, and I felt Billy would probably lose by 3 or 4 rounds. I never thought he'd go out like that, because I kept thinking to myself, I don't really see him getting hit, because I've never really seen him hit before, have we? You know, Eubank put it on in them last 4 or 5 rounds, didn't he? But
Ryder put it on him.
Right, not like Eubank though, did he?
No, but what I'm saying is, what we knew was in those last few rounds when opponents tend to get the better of Billy Joe as well. So you're losing to Canelo after 8 rounds. Like, it's only going to get worse for you.
Yeah. He made a calculated decision, but personally, up to then, I thought he got better since then. But why he jumped up in weight, I don't know. But I also thought to myself that if it goes to 12, he's not going to get a decision anyway. And I thought he could have picked up more money and stayed fighting them Euro level guys. You know, your Eubank and your John Ryders and them. And I suppose technically, what level would you put Billy Joe at if he hadn't beat Andy Lee?
Above European, deserves world,
but not elite.
No, definitely not elite. He's like a Luke Campbell for me.
Yeah, you know, would you say, you know, put Butte next to him? Will Butte a better southpaw at super middle?
In terms of skills, or in terms of record?
Record, skills, and that, yeah.
Butte did better at the Olympics, had more challenging fights. Absolutely battered Carl Froch till he hurt his ankle. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. And then
Terry, Carl Froch ran over him, mate.
Nah, don't. Do you see the size of Butte's ankle? Like, he was brave enough just to show up, like, and go 5 rounds. What a hero! Listen,
mate. All right, stop having banter and digging my pal out. But let me say this to you.
But just to say this, right?
Yeah, go on.
I think if you're really serious about boxing, you put yourself in harm's way. And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. Whatever career he goes on to have, every boxing fan should respect Craig Richards, because you can't find any filler in Craig Richards' career right now, right? He's won some. You can't find any filler.
I like him, Craig Richards. I like him. I think he's got a good style, and I think he'll take anybody on.
That's what we want from our guys now.
Yeah, that's exactly it, mate. We don't want to see him padding out and then being fed to Mexicans, do we, Terry? It's wrong, isn't it?
But here's the thing I don't understand. How many people listening to this have ever tweeted out support for Craig Richards? How many people have ever tweeted Eddie saying, when are you going to give Craig Richards a headline slot? Because how many other Brits are doing this? Compare his career with Joshua Buatsi's career.
Oh, it's chalk and cheese. Which brings me to this question that I had for number 10, but we'll do it now. Avoided guys or guys who don't get a mention. I'd like to think Jose Burton, Callum Johnson, Craig Richards. There's just 3 there, and there's a lot more than that in there. Dan Aziz, he's undefeated, isn't he, Dan Aziz?
Yeah.
He seems to be at the bottom of the pile, doesn't he, as well, for getting a mention? I mean, I wonder who's going out to bat for these people?
Well, we should be, right?
We are, aren't we now?
Well, everyone listening to this should be, because the people listening to this are the people saying, I'm tired of padded records. I'm tired of rubbish fights. And then it's like, okay, but the guys who give you the really good fights are the people you ignore. Andre Sterling, Dan Aziz, Craig Richards, Jose Burton, Callum Johnson. These are guys who will go to war for you. And you're not banging the drum. You're not getting behind them. You're not supporting them publicly. And until fans do that, Until fans do that, Hearn and Frank aren't going to take notice.
Do you think a few years ago, do you remember Jose Burton? We were talking about him as going to be one of the greats, who a British champion. He ran through Buglione. He got caught very late in the 11th, didn't he? And boxing is so cruel. His career and life probably turned on a sixpence in that split second. Do you think?
Okay, but then it's not like he came back and had a good run. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, he's been inactive, hasn't he? He's been inactive.
Yeah, so why
avoided though? I think. Well, I don't think we can blame Joe Gallagher. I'm not saying that because I like Joe Gallagher. I think people just looked at his style a bit like Huey. Huey doesn't seem to get rub at green, does he? Huey Fury, I don't think. He don't seem to.
Wait. How many times has he fought at the top end of the IBF?
Oh, Huey.
Yeah.
He's fought Povetkin, Pulev, Parker.
I think Huey gets a look in. I think Huey's challenge is once he gets there, he's not fighting like someone that might not get another shot.
You mean letting his hands go, you mean?
Like you said, fighting the fire.
Well, I just think that Jose Burton just needs a bit of a good run. I think we need to get behind him. He's like the forgotten man. But everybody were at one point saying, look, this kid looks like he's going to go all the way. He's a big, long-range light heavyweight, and I just think he needs a break. I do honestly. But Dan Aziz, he's 9-0 in it. Wouldn't we like to see these guys? Obviously, you could take Callum Johnson out of that mix because he's looking to fight Joe Smith. But Jose Burton at British level. Who else is there? Dan Aziz. You say Dan's at British level, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Who else would you put in that mix?
Lyndon
Arthur. You see, Jose Burton wants to fight Lyndon Arthur and give his purse to Lyndon Arthur. Wants to fight him for free. He wants to fight Lyndon Arthur, Jose Burton, so he'll fight him for free.
They won't take that fight. They won't.
Well, Lyndon Arthur won't take it. That's a good fight, though, isn't it? Two Mancunians going at it. Come on, at Manchester Arena or whatever. That could be one of the great British fights. At the moment, that could be a proper domestic dust-up. That would be a sellout, that, in Manchester. And whoever loses, they could have a rematch clause if they go at it. I mean, why not? Get these lads earning. There's fights to be made at domestic level. I know everybody.
You don't like rematch clauses, Russ.
I know, but if it's a close one and it's debatable, like Yard against Arthur, that's supposed to be a rematch, but it ain't happening, is it? They're dragging the feet on it, aren't they? Do you know what I mean? You could put Yard in there. Dan Aziz, Anthony Yard, Lyndon Arthur, Jose Burton. There's 4 there. Buatsi, you wouldn't say he's world level yet, would you? He's just open to a right hand. Throw him in, that's 5. Where would you throw a 6 one in? Find a 6 light heavyweight. And there's a good dust up there, isn't there?
Yeah, but it's competitive. But like you said, man, there's egos, there's politics. That would make it happen. That's what the fans should have. And it's what boxing needs. And this is why Logan Paul and Jake Paul make more money than these other guys combined. Yeah,
because they've seen a chink in the armour that boxing fans are not getting what they want. They're not getting the fights like that. Them 5 there, you could throw another one in. My mind's gone a bit blank, but there'll be another name to throw in there, 6. And we could have the fights we want, can't we? But we're not getting them. So they saw a chink in armour. They're giving us what they want, entertainment. But the entertainment for fans is different to what the hardcores want. You know, like when the Super 6 came out with Froch Taylor, Andre Ward and all them, we were all like, whoa! And the backup guys that they had who were in the tournament as well. It was like a Super 8. I thought that was brilliant. Arthur Abraham, and they wheeled it out on that, didn't they, as this next big thing. But it sort of died a death after 2 years, didn't it? It should have been a year, shouldn't it?
It should have been a year, and there should have been penalty clauses for ducking a fight and feigning injury.
Yeah, you mean like Durrell feigning injury and Andre Ward ducking out, fighting outside of America?
No, I mean like Andre Ward schooling Carl and letting Carl know that there are levels to this thing.
You can't help yourself, can you, Terry?
Well, no, just, you know.
Andre Ward were hanging on for dear life at end, mate. You were in reverse.
Do you know what? He was literally planning what he was going to have for dinner that night. That's how easy the fight was.
Yeah. Okay, then.
And Carl was like, Carl looked like, you know, like when humans first discovered fire, and didn't really understand it. That's what Carl looked like. Like, what the hell's going on here?
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, I just think that light heavyweight, in my opinion, is a better division than super middleweight because it goes back 100 years, doesn't it, or whatever?
It's a classic division.
One of the classic 7 divisions, where the super middle only goes back 37 years. So light heavyweight is a classic, like lightweight, like heavyweight, like middleweight, you know, and people don't give light heavyweight enough credibility. So I'd like to see some of these fights made. I like people like Eddie Hearn, Frank Warren, Mick Hennessy, all these kind of people, these big promoters, get these MTK, get these fights on. Get something going with these light heavyweights and let's see who the best is. And if you have to throw a 6 in, throw Callum Johnson in because he's not one of European yet, has he? Probably because of politics. Throw Callum in mix and let them all get at it. Let them all 6 get at it. Why not? Let
Callum Smith.
Callum Smith, well, he's not going to do that because he's had millions, hasn't he, for fighting Canelo and stuff like that. So I doubt he would. But if they couldn't get Callum Johnson, throw Callum Smith in. There's enough light heavyweights there to get something going. And there could be a few surprises there, but I know this much. I'd want to be at every single one of them shows, I'd say. I want to be there. It'd be like one of them, wouldn't it? Forget the belt. If it's just for a British title or whatever, I'd want to be there because the fights that I want to see, because sooner or later, I don't think it's going to be about belts, me. I assume one day in my lifetime it will be, but I'd want to be there for them sort of fights, but they're not happening. Why are they not happening? Do you remember what you said to me on New Year's Eve? And I've got the list. I don't know if it's I think I did that video in my bedroom. You remember you gave me all 10 fights that you wanted to see in 2021?
Oh, Jesus, did I? Wow.
Yeah, New Year's Eve. Well, I've still got the list. Well, we're halfway through the year. Not one of them's happened yet.
I'm not surprised.
Not one of them, Terry. And I said, oh, there'll be a few happening to that. And you went, well, don't be so sure. None have been spoke about. I'm not going to say who they are because I'm going to reveal it on the 1st of January, but not one of them's happened. And that's how bad the sport's going. And we're into the 7th month now. And we've nearly done 7 months. That's where we're at, boxing fans. Why do we put up with it, Terry? Why?
You know who we need on here right now? Is we need Jersey Joe Gallagher on here.
Jersey Joe.
Yeah. And you just say to him, mate, look, you're the guy right in the belly of the beast. Why aren't these fights getting made?
Yeah.
Is it conversations in the gym? Is it conversations with the promoters? Why aren't these fights getting made?
Well, I think what I should do, Kevin, I know you're watching. I want a thingy, 120 quid to start doing podcast. Get 4 of us on. And I can get Joe Gallagher on, you, me, and Rico, or one of the other guys who come on here, Kent or something, if you or Rico can't make it. Let's have it on here and let everybody have to say. I think we need to do that.
Why don't you just do it on Zoom?
Yeah, that's what I said on Zoom while I was looking earlier. It's 120 quid.
Oh, for the corporate license.
Yeah, for the Zoom thing. Because you only get 40 minutes, and I don't think that's long enough. So these will get me one. I'll just have to ask about it. We have to have a meeting. We have to have a meeting to decide when we're going to have a meeting to talk about it. But yeah, I think. Let me just put that on my list. I think that's a good thing. We'll have to do a podcast. I know. I think I spoke about this with Kent before. Terry.
No, I'd love that. You, me, Dennis, Spencer Fearon.
Dennis Hobson.
Yeah.
Dennis can't take them shots off me, mate. Dennis can't handle my shots.
Come on, man. Ron Lyle can handle anything.
Dennis can't handle my shots. He's dropped down to white collar. He's not in pro game no more. Come on, Dan. You know you want to come on. He's itching to come on here. He'll probably turn up today and back door down the film in. No, I just think that something needs to happen sooner or later to get it back on track. We need. Do you remember the Magnificent Seven show Frank Warren put on? We're in Liverpool some years ago. We need a show like that. I remember I was looking at some shows that Eddie Hearn put on years ago. There were loads of Joe Gallagher fights. You know when Joe Gallagher were riding really high? They have 3 champions, 3 British, couple of European, ring trainer at year and all that. Some of the shows that they were putting on were top draw. Now, I look at them and I compare them And we're going back like 7 years or something. And it's got that bad. Even Eddie Hearn's come out and said products watered down and all this, and this is why YouTube's excelling. But didn't Eddie Hearn have a prominent part to play in all that anyway, Terry?
Wasn't Eddie Hearn the guy that said pay-per-views in the UK were oversaturated?
Oversaturated, and look what is coming out now. Whatever suits his narrative, he comes out with, doesn't he? And people just buy into it because he's got the platform. But why are these YouTubers like Behind the Gloves, Rob Tebber, IFL? Why are these people, the big three I call them, why are they not challenging him, or Danny Flexen, or that other guy at Fight Eye? Well, why are these people not challenging these people, what they're saying and doing?
Because if they do, they'll end up on universal credit, Porky. You know that.
Yeah. I just think it's wrong, mate. I just think it's wrong. Okay, we're moving on then from that. Joyce Tackham. Obviously, Tackham's an old boy now, but Joe Joyce is not that young. But do you think that's a good fight? And do you think it's a good test for Joe, or do you think he just runs straight over him?
I think Joe runs over him. I think this is a stay busy fight while he works out what happens with the WBO. You've got to have something about you to beat Joe. You've either got to have a freakish amount of power, you got to be a good mover, you've got to be something like Tackham isn't. Tackham's a sparring partner who somehow managed to have a career. Like if you go back to when Tackham was in his mid-20s, he was a sparring partner. In his peak years, he was a sparring partner for guys like David Haye.
Yeah.
So you can't convince me that in his latter years, he's become world level. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah. What do you think about Derek Chisora and David Haye splitting up? And where's Derek Chisora heading now?
Same journey. He just doesn't need David anymore because Derek now understands how these contracts work, right? He understands how they work. He understands what he's worth. So he's like, why am I kicking over 15 or 20% to someone? Doesn't make sense. Yeah, he hasn't got many fights left, right? So he's got to just stack as much money as he can.
The rumour doing the rounds is David Haye took 400 grand out of Chisora's last fight. So what did he take out of the Usyk fight? If it was the same, he's had 800 grand out of 2 fights, hasn't he?
They've done more fights together, haven't they?
No, the last 2 fights I'm on about.
Oh, okay, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised. And now with your Delbo, you're like, what am I really paying for?
Yeah, but maybe he wouldn't have got them opportunities if he went for David Haye, because David Haye's got a big social media platform and that's probably why Del Boy jumped in with him, because he could help sell the fights and sell the pay-per-views, can't he? It's David.
Nah, it's more David. David has inside knowledge of doing business with Sky.
Yeah.
That's why. Derek needed someone who could show him what the game's about.
Yeah.
And so he paid heavily for that knowledge, but it's about whether Derek can now use his knowledge to then, manage people. But that might be a step too far.
Okay. BT Sport, are they going to be here in another 2 years, or does it look like they're winding down? Because to me, it looks like they're winding down to what they were 2 years back. Go you 2 years back before the pandemic and that. And now look at what's going out. Does it look like they might be in a little bit of trouble, or is everybody like this at the moment because they're getting over the pandemic? What do you think?
So let me ask you a question: Who should they be investing in?
In their fighters?
Yeah.
Well, they've invested in Yard and they got beat against Kovalev. They've invested
and Arthur.
They've invested in Arthur, and he's still undefeated, but he didn't look so good last time out, did he? But they have invested in Arthur, haven't they? And Yard got beat by Arthur, didn't he? Yeah. Well, I think they should probably invest in Lyndon Arthur because the bar got beat. They invested in him. Tyson Fury, that looks like he's run into a roadblock, doesn't it? For God. I mean, bring me to Tyson Fury. He's strutting about Vegas yesterday, test driving supercars. He's supposed to have COVID. What's all that about? Is he going to show us his COVID results?
So here's the problem, right? Frank has probably said, look, we will make all the money back on Fury pay-per-views. Right? That's probably why BT got into this. We'll get the Fury pay-per-views, and then we're going to get the Frampton stuff. And what's happened is actually no one's really delivered. Fury hasn't delivered.
Yeah.
And, You know, because when BT did it, we all assumed Fury would be fighting in the UK, right? And now Fury refuses to get a British license so he can live happily in Morecambe with his family and know he'll never get tested.
Is that why you think, yeah?
Why else would you not have a license? Joshua has a British license.
Fury's not signed up to anti-doping though on BoxRec, is it, for the WBC?
There you go.
So unless things have changed since last night, as I had a look last night.
So my issue, I guess, is the money BT thought they'd make from boxing isn't going to be coming, right? And so they're just looking at it going, well, actually, we're delivering a substandard product here. We don't want to invest in it to make it any good. I don't think they've got that much confidence that Frank is today's man. And so I think BT are just probably there going, look, as soon as someone gives us a good offer for this whole sport business, they can have it.
Yeah. Looking at it from outside, I'm gonna throw not a curveball at you because this is just facts. You know, I'm a facts man, don't you? And stat man, tell you right. Tyson Fury, in my opinion, didn't want to fight Vladimir because Sky pulled out of the rematch with Vladimir and he was left with Box Nation. And I think that he thought, ooh, this doesn't look so good here. We're Box Nation here and there might not be enough in pot to pay me. I think that's why he pulled out, and the fact that I think Vladimir had worked him out towards end of the fight, and the fight just didn't happen. Do you think the same things happened again here? That there were no British leg of the money for Tyson, and the fact that Wilder were training like a Trojan and he's weighed it all up. Maybe I hadn't had a good camp. Maybe I don't want to be here. Maybe I've earned millions, and there's opportunities to earn money outside of boxing rather than me getting my brains rattled against Wilder. Do you think? You put it all into melting pot, you know, with no British money and from pay-per-view and all that, and he just thought, you know what, I've got COVID. Because, you know, once you tell a lie, you got to tell another. We know that he said he gives 7 million to charity and they shut down. And there's been other things, you know, other lies. I'm not going to go into it and that because people will start saying I've got it in for him. But the point I want to make is, do you think that he just thought, you know what am I doing here? And he just pulled out of it because he just don't fancy it. Do you think he might be going through a phase in his life where he's been under scrutiny for that long? Everything he does, everything he says, he's having to act the part out that ain't him, and he just don't go, you know what? Okay, kind of thing. You think that's happened?
Russ, think about this, right? It's what, nearly 3.5 years ago.
Yeah.
When Fury was walking out the Manchester arena.
Mm-hmm.
And he had, it looked like he had half of Manchester around him just singing his name.
Mm-hmm.
To think that between then and now, he's fought Wilder twice. And unfortunately, we hoped he'd have fought him a third time.
Mm.
Now compare that with what Josh was giving us in those 3 years. And you're like, actually, it's not that bad. I guess we just hold Fury to a higher standard because, you know, he calls himself a fighting man. He'll fight anyone, anywhere, anytime, anyhow. And you're like, okay, cool. Do it then. But then we start to really unpick his boxing record. And you realize he doesn't cope well with the pressure of being the target. He loves chasing people, and he's really good at chasing, but he's not a front runner. That seems to get at him. So I tell you this now, if Wilder had the belt and Fury was chasing him, that fight happens on the 24th. I think there's something in Tyson's makeup, and it might be the same thing that's afflicted guys like Billy Joe, Frankie Gavin, where they're so good for so long and they love chasing people they think are better than them. But when they get to the top, they don't have that inner ego to say, I'm going to stay here. No one's getting me off this.
Would you say, Terry, that Frankie Gavin, Billy Joe and Tyson Fury are our best skilled boxers over the last 15 years? 10 years?
Nah. I could put Lee Haskins in there. I've seen Lee Haskins do stuff that bends the laws of physics before.
Yeah.
I've seen James DeGale do stuff like he's out there like Nadia Comaneci. Who else has been really skillful? Even Anthony Small, before he went full radical, could do things that didn't make any sense. His triple left hook every one of those punches hurt Porky. I haven't seen anyone in this country do that and actually be hurtful with it. So there are a lot of,
yeah, go on, sorry.
I was gonna say, so there are a lot of guys who are super skilled. What those guys have, and this is, they were boxing mature at a really early age.
Yeah.
So they've always been kind of advanced for their ages. But what happens when you turn pro is those gaps close quickly. Now it's about, do you have what it takes to dig deep?
Could James DeGale have coped with a Carl Froch onslaught while sat on the ropes?
You'd have dropped him a couple of times.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, no. I'm saying that in all seriousness because DeGale had that really weird punch. It was kind of like a modified left hook that he'd throw. And he caught virtually everyone with it because it comes out of nowhere. So he's got shots that I think are a nightmare for Carl. And if you remember, DeGale's chin was never questioned by anyone, right? Yeah. Carl may have had him on fitness, but Carl wasn't going to have him on toughness.
Well, this is how I look at it. James DeGale were beaten twice by George Groves and Froch beat Groves twice. That's the fact. The second fact is James DeGale's best wins are Butte and Durrell. Carl Froch took their O's. So I think that's case answered for the Cobra.
No, it's not. And here's why it's not.
Go on then, Terry.
Because we can't triangulate like that. If
triangulate, what's that?
If A beats B and B beats C, A beats C, it doesn't work that way. Fights are fights. I genuinely think the southpaw, the switch hitting stuff, I'm not going to say it will bamboozle Carl. It just gives Carl a hard day's work. And James hits hard enough that he can put you over if he catches you. Mm. You see what I mean? He put Jack down. Not many people do that. He put Durrell down. I don't think Froch did. You see what I mean? So if those two fought, and I think you and I talked about this once, and I said that's two really hard men going at it. Yeah, it's two really hard men going at it. And the thing is, the punches Carl loves to throw are meat and drink for a southpaw. Like, you know, when he throws that big booming right hook, that's like the trigger for him to start. Southpaws see that coming a mile off. Then you just get counted over the top.
Well, I mean, Butte went to points with James DeGale. Carl Froch knocked Butte out in round 5.
Like I said, Butte, like, there's all kinds of stuff happening there. He had COVID.
What, in 2012?
Yeah, he's the first. He's ground zero.
You make it up. You know what? You'd be a good defence lawyer. You're like Bruce Cutler, aren't you? Who defended John Gotti. He got that many got not guilties for John Gotti. They struck him off, didn't they, before final trial, didn't they? That's you, the Bruce Cutler of defence lawyering. Right, PBC after the Canelo. PBC, sorry, have offered Canelo a 5-fight deal, a multi-million-dollar deal, and Canelo apparently doesn't have a deal with Eddie Hearn. He's got a fight by. He's on a fight-by-fight. Do you feel that Canelo is ruthless enough to say to Eddie Hearn, "Look, we're going to go with PBC"? And would that be ruthless after 18 months ago? It was with Oscar De La Hoya. He went 18 months around about that time. Then Hearn, and could he take this? And would Canelo be classed as a mercenary if he goes to PBC? Yes or no?
So let's break it down, and let's be full Porky here, right? I know you're a facts and numbers man, aren't you?
I've only got a little budget, Terry. I have to stretch it. Well, yeah.
You can get pills for that, Russ. Don't worry.
Oh, don't you worry about that, man. I'm all right down there, kid. I'm a horse.
No, so what's Canelo getting per fight now with Hearn? He's getting about 35 million.
$35 million, yeah. 35 million, yeah.
What's the PBC pay-per-view? It's $80, right?
Yeah, but DAZN subscription channel, aren't they?
But so if Canelo went pay-per-view with PBC at $80, even if he did 800,000, he's up.
Yeah.
That's without Mexico. He's up.
Yeah, I know, yeah. And they might be looking at it like this: Eddie Hearn can't deliver for him. And could this be the end of Eddie Hills? Is he banging in trouble? The 4-0 Iceman, 3 by way off from Billericay. But could he be banging trouble with DAZN if Canelo goes to PBC? Do you think that's why Al Heyman's made his move now? Do you think he's playing Hearn?
Well, if I'm Heyman, I'm tapping up Joshua and I'm tapping up Canelo, and I'm saying I can take both of these guys. Why? Because it's going to be financed by pay-per-view. I don't need to put capital up front. We give them a guarantee and we give them the pay-per-view upside.
Yeah.
Well, because Canelo knows, man. Canelo's been in the sport long enough, and he's like, why am I not getting the money Floyd was getting?
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see where Canelo goes for me, but would he be a mercenary, yes or no, if he went to PBC? And would Eddie Hearn come out and say he wished him all the best, try and play the game and that?
I think no to the first one, yes to the second one.
Right, and would Eddie Hearn still want to act as an agent? And would that be like Al Heyman pimping Hearn out? He'd be like working for Heyman, wouldn't he? That'd be
I don't think Eddie can do that. I think Eddie's exclusive to DAZN now.
Right.
So they won't let him off the farm for that one. So, but Canelo doesn't need promotion. You could just get Lou DiBella to do it. Do you see what I mean?
Acts as like the middleman, the go-between, yeah.
As the promoter, yeah, just get Lou DiBella to do
it. Dylan White's been in the news in the last 5 days, actually. Dylan White's saying that he wants to be upgraded to WBC champion if Tyson Fury is going to be champion Emirates, and that he should be fighting Wilder in his first defence or Franklin in his first defence. But is this where boxing's heading now, where people want people to be stripped and people want to be upgraded to get that world title belt? Do you think that's wrong, and that we should just they should earn it in the ring, or at least the number 1 and number 2 guys? For example, Shannon Courtney was ranked 9, the other girl ranked 8, and they fought for the vacant belt. But how can Shannon be a champion when 1 and 2 didn't fight for it? Is that right, or does this leave boxing in the gutter if White gets upgraded to champion? Sorry.
Okay, so rule number 1 is we should keep the belts moving as fast as we can, right?
Yeah.
So if people are dragging their feet, I understand the governing body saying, right, okay, Tyson, if you're going through some personal challenges at the moment, cool. We're going to make you champion emeritus, and we'll work out who fights who for the belt. But Dillian's not mandatory, nor do I think he's next in line either. You see what I mean? So the fight wouldn't be between Dillian and Wilder anyway.
Do you remember, Terry, when Dylan White came out on IFL and did a big interview, let him rip, and everybody backed him up, and he did Bob Tebbert and all other interviews with him, and Sky, Matchroom Boxing, Barker, Chris Lloyd, saying that, and Eddie Hearn came out, and Frank Smith, he's been mandatory for over 1,000 days. But going back 1,000 days, when I got it up on the screen, Ruiz and Ortiz were above him. White were number 3, and he'd never actually been the full-on mandatory in it and would never call. So do you feel that narrative were basically based on a lie going back that 3 year? Do you agree with that?
Hey, tell a lie often enough for us, it becomes true.
And do you think that Eddie Hearn and Dylan White have had the platforms to tell that lie, because it's now become folklore? Well, it's Anna Woolhouse was saying, no, it's not fair. Dylan White's been mandatory for over 1,000 days. Technically, it wasn't true, was it? Because he was number 3 going back 1,000 days. So why have they been spinning this narrative? And why is Dillian White pushing himself into a position where he should be upgraded to world champion when he's never really been that high rank with them anyway? I mean, he's only just coming back off a knockout from a 40-odd-year-old, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's craziness. And how can he be given WBC belt if Tyson's put up to championship Emirates and have a first defence against Franklin? I mean, where does that leave the sport of boxing? I mean, why are we putting up with this? Why ain't nobody asking the question? Why ain't nobody, none of these camera jockeys, why aren't they asking this? It's all here in black and white. You know, he's never been mandatory, and he went 1,000 days. I mean, Well, why ain't nobody asking this, mate?
Well, do you know what? Only Porky can ask these questions.
I know, I'm asking it now for fans. These fans should be asking people like Eddie Hearn at WBC, Sullivan on the Twitter, same as they should be asking James English, who's a big podcaster on YouTube. He's doing this truth tour with John Fury. Why don't they ask him why John Fury didn't fight Mickey Theo and shot his mouth off? Fight anybody over 50. Mick accepted, but nobody's asking question, are they? Because they daren't, because they're all vetted questions. But point I want to make is it all fake news, or are we just only allowed to ask certain things? Because we know what's going off, but these people that these casual fans, they don't know, do they? They just.
Has Mickey Theo bought a ticket to see John Fury?
No, he's not going to get in, is he? I mean, if Mickey Theo turns up at one of them events, there's going to be trouble in there. They're never going to get the fight on. There'll be police will be called. People could get bit, eyes poked out, or even worse, afraid charges. That's not good, is it? They need to fight in the ring like men and shake hands after and make a bit of money for charity and feel good for themselves.
Nah, they need to fight on the hard road.
On the hard road, turn up. I'll tear you apart. But I don't know. I mean, it's done my head in, but I want to see it happen. But I don't know. John Fury's got 14th of August to get in touch. That's it. So it's up to boxing fans now to get in touch with John Fury and say, John, you've got till 14th of August to turn up and agree a fight with Mickey Theo, or it probably ain't going to happen and I think Mick will have proved his point, and because he chased him down for this last year or 14 months, and I think he's proved a point. But silence is golden, isn't it? John won't come out. But now after 14th of August, and we leave it after that date, John might just come out in his shell a little bit. But every time he does pop out in his shell, I will be watching from afar. Can I just give a big shout out to Michelle Hudson, Cosmetic Beach in Antalya in Turkey. I will see you in 35 days, 34 days, something like that. The Porky with his teeth, and oh my God, what's the wheel coming to? Just hope John Fury don't pull him out with pliers when he sees me. Okay, I've pointed that out on it. Why was it left for me, Porky's Corner, to break the Tyson Fury story regarding is he going to leave? Obviously, I knew that the fight was going to happen, but I had to narrate it at the time. Is Tyson Fury going to pull out of the Wilder fight? It was left for me to break the story. 6 hours later, they put a press release out, didn't they? So I basically forced him into it. But everybody else knew about it. IFL knew about it before me. Behind the Gloves knew about it before me. Boxing Social knew about it before me. MTK, BT Sport, Frank Warren, all of them, Bob Arum, they all knew before me. But why didn't nobody come out and say anything? Why was it left to me to break the story? Why didn't nobody take the lead and say, I want to let the boxing fans know what's going on? Because people were still buying tickets and they were buying plane tickets to go over there as well. So why was it left to me, Terry? And because I knew about it, but everybody knew before me, but they said no, didn't they? So why? Why was it left to me? And Rico as well, me and Rico.
No, because as you know, Russ, people need your channel to grow. A lot of times publicly people are like, Porky's Corner, but privately they tune in and they go, oh. So maybe sometimes that's that. You've got to understand your lane, Russ. That's your lane. Your lane is the kind of renegade voice of boxing.
You reckon? Well, I was disappointed when I heard. I thought, well, how come they're not putting out? And they all know, because they were all like that. Well, we know, but we don't want to say. We're waiting to see if so and so will tell us we can put it out. They're not in charge of their own destiny, are they? These people, they're controlled, aren't they?
No, to be fair, some people didn't know. So I know someone who was going out to Vegas to cover the fight, and plans were afoot. Like we were literally talking about, listen, I might need you to pick me up something in Vegas, and then bam, when it came out, equally as shocked and as gutted. So I don't know if they all knew. They may have all suspected. Like I had a feeling the fight wasn't going to happen. The energy was telling me the fight wasn't going to happen.
Yeah. Interesting. We spoke about trolls and that, and what's the answer? I want to speak about Joseph Parker now. Now, Joseph Parker seems to have a good manager about him. He's a bit eccentric. The manager is that he's got David Higgins. Now, you remember the time where Eddie Hearn got in touch with David Higgins and said that Peter Fury and Mick Hennessy haven't got 1.8 million, to pay Parker to fight Hewitt, and so as you're not going to get paid, you're going to need that money in an escrow. So obviously they got the money in an escrow, but Eddie had tried to stick the knife in, didn't it? But Higgins is somebody that I admire. He's done very well for Joseph Parker. I think that he always seems to get him opportunities. And I'm hearing that he's got a big opportunity coming in the next few months yet again. Why is that when he's a very limited boxer that you could probably say is, would you say he's British stroke Euro level? I don't think he's world level, is he, Terry? Do you?
I don't think he wins the British title.
You don't think he beats Joe Joyce, no?
Oh, God, no.
So what level would you say? If Joe Joyce is Euro stroke world level, what's he? British level stroke Euro?
British Commonwealth level.
British Commonwealth.
No.
Parker we're on about we level, yeah.
Yeah, so look at Parker. All right. Lucky against Dillian, lucky against Derek.
Parker were lucky against Dillian, he lost. No, sorry. Yeah, he lost, didn't he, against Dillian, didn't he, Parker?
Oh, yeah, he did. Yeah, so he got what he deserved it. But even then, and Dillian's not amazing. He's effective enough, but he's not amazing. And then he struggled with a 30-something-year-old Derek.
Yeah. Well, Derek's 37 next, isn't he now? Chisora, is he?
37, 38. Yeah, it's not
he's
young.
knocking on a bit now. It's 37 next, I think, or 36 or so. Would you like to see Parker against Dillian again? Yes or no? Or do you think it's a dog with fleas?
I could see that fight again. Yeah.
Yeah.
Neither of them's really got a dance partner, so yeah, I'd watch it. I wouldn't pay for it, but I'd watch it.
Before I forget, can I just give Bunny Johnson a shout out from Sheffield? He was strength and conditioner for Huey in the Pulef camp. He's training Bunny. Go on, Bunny, Babby. Well, Bunny is training. He's obviously a lorry driver, but he's training people at Sheffield at a gym I forgot about. But follow him on Instagram or Twitter. It's Bunny Johnson from Sheffield. Give him a big shout. He's doing really well, actually. So give him a big shout out. But I just think that getting back to Parker, I just think, why does he keep getting chance after chance? Is it because he's got the New Zealand TV money and that kind of thing, do you think?
And they're only 3 million people in New Zealand, Porky.
Yeah, I know, but I've heard that they do 200,000 buys when they have pay-per-view fights in the UK. And it's there, isn't it? That kind of money's 4 million quid, isn't it? In pot.
Well, I don't know how much they charge, but maybe.
Isn't it $20 over there? I don't know what that is in our money. I don't know. You'd have to check. Kent, you will probably know about that. The hardcore's hardcore. Moving on then. Savannah Marshall, is she going to get the Clarissa Shields fight? Yes or no? And if she does she start as a favourite?
Nah, she doesn't start as a favourite at all.
No?
I like Savannah, but I think Clarissa Shields is too much for her.
Do you?
Yeah, too much.
I don't agree. Savannah's got a win over
her. Yeah, but that's before we knew each other, mate. Come on, man.
I'm just saying though. Yeah, but
we're going back in the archives here, folks.
We're back about 8 years. Okay, then.
And remember, you're talking about someone who beat a 17-year-old girl.
Over 21.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then. Okay, well, I'm going to back Savannah in that fight. Natasha Jonas, what next? A lot of people in industry, even journalists, ones that me and you respect, ones that we don't respect as well, all saying that she's got a massive TV career ahead of her for somebody who speaks well on television, looks the part. She's been there and done it. What next for her as regards her fighting career? What next, do you think? Would you like to see him with Harper again or Taylor?
No, I don't have an interest in Harper. I'd like to see her fight Katie Taylor.
Again?
Yeah.
I think that could be made. Do you, Terry?
I'd like to see that. I don't know if how much weight McCaskill could lose. Whack her in there.
Jessica McCaskill, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. I want to see Tasha Jonas with anyone that can get down to the same weight as Natasha Jonas. It's that simple. I'm here for Natasha Jonas all day, every day.
Yeah. Okay. Who do you think's the best prospect? I spoke about this with Rico, but I want to ask you, because I know you're a bit more up on this than me, because you're a Haringey box cut man, aren't you? You know, you're right up on all that kilo, 75 key, 81 key, all that, 49 key. Right. Who's the best prospect going to the Olympics from the UK up here at McCracken's? The McCracken gym. I don't call it the EIS. I call it the McCracken gym because they just took over up there, aren't they, McCracken's? Who's the best prospect going to Olympics next month from the UK? And who's going to win a medal?
Benjamin Whittaker.
That's what I keep hearing.
He's special.
I keep hearing that. Go on.
If his chin can hold up in the pros, he's the guy we've been waiting for since Joshua.
What about the fact that nobody is talking about Fraser Clark? Why is that?
Oh no, so you're talking about, well, so number one, there's a guy called what's his name? Badukadir Jalalov, right? Massive. Is he Azeri or Uzbek? He's from one of those kind of like post-Soviet states. He's about 6'7", punches like a mule. He's had a few pro fights as well, so this is the thing that makes it interesting.
Yeah.
But he was icing people. Like before the pandemic, he was just icing people in the amateurs. And he's going to be a hard guy to beat because he can box as well. So of all the prospects going to the Olympics, I'm quite excited about what he'll do in the pros. Ben Whittaker, he's still got youth on his side. He's good. He's special. Fraser's just a little bit too old at the moment.
He's 30 next month, isn't he, Fraser?
Yeah, so from a pro career perspective, like you'd have to move him quicker than you're moving Joe Joyce, in my opinion. I don't even know if he'd want that. He might just say, I might do another 4 years on GB.
What? To 35? 34? Yeah. Well, why would you want to get it pros with all politics when you can pick up a nice steady wage up there every week and all trimmings that go with it? See what I'm saying?
You're spot on. Yeah, you're spot on.
And I mean, Savannah must be thinking, after she left there, getting involved in pro boxing, she must be thinking, God, what have I done here? You know what I mean?
Yeah, she would have gold medal for a while as well. Like, I'm trying to think, the American lady, Naomi Graham, is there at 75 this year, and I think Savannah would beat her today.
Savannah can do middle, super middle, light heavy. She could go from 160 to 175 and ice people in every division, every one of them 3 divisions.
I suggested this, and if Peter listens, I hope he takes it on board. Why doesn't she just fight for the heavyweight title? Because the women's heavyweight title is 175 and up. Just don't diet down. Go up there, fight whoever's got the belt, then go back down to middleweight. I
think she only walks around at about 174 or 173. So she's 6 foot, isn't she? But she walks around about.
Yeah, she's just super lean.
Mega strong. Mega strong. I think that's about it, really. I just want to touch on, before we go, I want to touch on something that I know that you're very, very up on, the drug testing situation at the moment. I don't hear anybody saying or putting pictures on social media saying, oh, I've just been drug tested again, let's keep the sport clean. Nobody's putting drug test photographs out of the urine things and all this. Why is that? Is nobody being tested? Because before COVID, everybody were putting stuff out all the time, weren't they? Why is that?
Mate, before Dillian, like, remember all of that talk, and people suddenly realized this is too risky. I don't want to be the person caught out. And here's what people don't understand: if you're UCAD, right? Let me give you an example, Russ. They caught a kid in a Premier League academy. I think he was in the Premier League. They caught a kid. using growth hormone, using somatropin, right?
Yeah.
And the guy he not only had the growth hormone, he had it in like one of those applicator pens, like an EpiPen sort of thing.
Yeah.
And you're thinking, how's a 15-year-old managed to get hold of this?
Mm.
So if a 15-year-old in an academy is doing that, what the hell happens further up the ladder? UCAD don't want to find out, because what's their budget? 6 million a year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. If you catch too many people at sort of Joshua level, Harry Kane level, mate, their lawyers' fees would bankrupt you. So their thing is, we just want to catch the low-hanging fruit, the people who can't sue, who can't afford lawyers. We'll catch them and just tell you that the anti-doping thing's working.
To scare people.
To scare who? No, just to show that they're doing their job.
Yeah. So basically what you're saying is these people, they're not going to go after Fury again or Joshua, people like that. They're just going to do what they want. Because Joshua is supposed to allegedly have a therapeutic exemption certificate, innit? So they're saying.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. If we assumed that everyone in the heavyweight division was doping, I'm confident Joshua would be the guy taking the least amount of gear. If there's a doping problem in boxing, I don't think it's Anthony Joshua. There's something about how he performs and how resilient he is physically that tells me he's a genetic one-off in some ways. Now, I'm not saying that means he's clean. What I'm saying is he's probably the heavyweight with the least need to use stuff. Him and Wilder just look like genetic one-offs.
Yeah, they don't carry much fat on them, do they, and all that, do they? Yeah.
Yeah, look, you see, the thing is, normally guys that size end up in the NBA. And in the NBA, it looks like there's just loads of them, but they're genetic one-offs. To be 6'7", 6'6", in that kind of condition, it's insane. But I think the doping genie's out the bottle. You'll never get it back in, Russ.
Yeah, they don't carry body fat, whereas me, I've only got to look at a Turkish delight and I put 2 pounds on.
Yeah, but that's what makes. Come on, you'd never have the name Porky otherwise.
I know, yeah, I know.
You'd have been called Beefy.
Beefy, like Beefy Smith. Let's finish off then on Liam Cameron. Liam rang me the other day. He's took a job at a furniture place in Edlington, where I grew up, on Top Club car park for delivering furniture. But he's training again now. I think they're sponsoring him, so he's going to be coming up channel shortly. And he's down to 15 stone from 18 stone, and he's obviously going to fight at middleweight again. So, but he's coming back, Liam, and he's got a bit of news regarding his ban, because his ban's up in 8 months or 9 months, I think, but he might be getting that squashed. And I think if that happens, that's good, because they made an example of him, didn't they, with 4 years for a minute bit of cocaine. Whereas Fury had quite a lot of cocaine, and then he had a missed test, and then he had the wild boar. No, wild boar first, I think. So he had 3 charges. Liam had 1 charge, and minute bit got 4 years. Fury got 2 years. So, which proves what you were saying all along, that they've gone after the small fry, haven't they?
Always do, Russell Hartley. They always do.
Yeah, it's not good, is it, mate? But I will be behind Liam. I do know who he's going to come back with. I don't know what he's going to do about his training situation. I'd like to see him back with Chris, but I do know, I will tell you afterwards, I do know who he's going to be coming back with as a manager. And I wish him all the best. So, Liam, I know you're watching. Good luck. I know you get on with Liam and you like him, don't you, Enrico? We like Liam, don't we? He's likeable, isn't he?
He's just a good lad. Like, Liam is just a top lad. We've got a lot of time for him. We'll always have a lot of time for him.
And it just seems like yesterday, since he defended his belt, got ranked 11th at IBF or 12th, and one were not rated, so provisionally we were 11th, and he sort of got to world level ranking, and it sort of went over for him, wasn't it? I think, which is sad, isn't it? Really.
Yeah.
But we wish him all the best. So, anybody you want to give a shout out to, Terry, or your Twitter handle at Highfield Boxing, and your podcast is the Beautiful Boxing Podcast. People get asking.
Nah, it's Beyond Boxing now. You know, we
oh, sorry, so yeah, Beyond Boxing, yeah, Beyond Boxing.
No, just want to shout out like a couple of guys I've been speaking to. You know, always been like the core group of lads, like Denzel Bentley, Dan Aziz, Umar Sadiq. You know, and Craig Richards, you know, guys I speak to regularly, John Palata.
Yeah.
And I wish more fans would get behind guys like this, because the reason you don't see them is that they never get people banging the drum about them, but they will always give you entertaining fights, you know, regardless of who they're up against. And that's what we need to get in. We need to get back to that. Also, let me shout out Craig from Coventry, who I saw on Sunday. Top man, actually. I hope he had a good Sunday, you know, regardless of the result. But he was there in the carnage that was Leicester Square, so that was good to see. And just all the other people, all the other boxing fans I sort of bumped into floating around on Sunday, man. It goes to show, like we talked about earlier, the overlap between boxing and football is massive. That's why we have to be careful in how we position boxing. Like, I never want boxing to be about race in my life, because think about what boxing's about. It's probably the sport where race is irrelevant. You can either fight or you can't. Do you see what I mean, Russ?
Yeah. Is that Craig who runs the Instagram account for me? Or is that another Craig? There's a Craig who runs the Porky's Corner _1, I think, Instagram account. I'm not sure if it's the right
Coventry.
Craig. Yeah, there's two Craig. There's Craig J Boxing in my phone, and there's Craig Coventry. If it's Craig Coventry, I hope you're well, mate. I might have wrong one. Sorry.
Yeah,
go on.
Yeah, no, definitely the lad from Coventry came down from Cov. He had a good time. Yeah, like, I don't know who. If you're listening and you were there on Sunday, just write in the comments. Am I wrong in saying that it's the most intense atmosphere I've ever experienced in this country in terms of people just being happy? Everything up until kickoff was just happiness. Like, people were just on it, and it was a good advert for what this country is really about when we get it right.
What about after, though? It all went a bit pear-shaped, didn't it? Because Dean White were running for his life through Wembley Stadium, wasn't he? Did you see that video of Dean White giving it the old... I thought he would roadman killing him. You'd thought he'd have been just going, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, like Wesley Snipes, Passenger 57. You know what I mean? I'm surprised that Dean White were running like that. I just thought he'd just take it.
No. Russ, he was just going to get his seat before kickoff.
It was a bit pandemonium, wasn't it? After the I want to say fight, then the match. After the match,
it wasn't that crazy, because what generally happens, Russ, when England lose, like the police know what to do, so they get people out there pretty quickly, and people are just generally quite deflated anyway. So you get little pockets of trouble, but nothing major. Like, you know, we didn't burn London down or anything.
Burn London down. Okie dokie then. Well, listen, thanks for coming on. We've had a good 90 minutes. Is it 90 minutes? What time is it? Yeah.
Hey, is this the free video, the members video?
No, this is going out free on this. Free.
Yeah, so all you guys listening, man, get those comments up, man. Come on.
Yeah, get them comments up. Don't forget to share the video, guys, on your WhatsApps amongst all your pals, and just get it out there. Get on the Porky Express train, because we're here to stay. I'm here for another Christmas next year. So I'm not going anywhere. So we're here to stay. And I've got all your attention, all you license holders. I've got your attention. Isn't that right? Isn't that right, Charlie Giles? Hey, listen, before I forget, let's give a big shout out to Steffi Bull. He put a tweet out. Somebody sent me a screenshot saying that he's done with boxing and he's out of it. So, but he does that every couple of months, doesn't he, when he has a meltdown?
Oh, you know, let's hope he's not going to another big house, eh?
Yeah, it might. The walls might be closing in on old Stephanie. So let's say a prayer for him in case he ends up padded up with purple ackee.
Oh, please. I'd love that.
He'll know about it if he gets padded up with the purple one. So, okie dokie then. Right, thank you very much, Terry. It's been a pleasure. I hope you have a great Thursday. What's left of it? It's 25 to 12. I'm going to get this out for 1 o'clock today. How's about that?
Hey, that'll be efficient.
That'll be efficient. You know that I'm on it today. Then I'm going to Mick Wales for a cuppa at 1. All right, have a bit of a catch up. So peace out, Terry. Keep on trucking. Keep sporting boxing.
All right, mate. You too. Take care, mate.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye.
Well, I enjoyed that with Terry. A good guy. He knows his boxing, don't you, Terry? He is the man. But t-shirt off. But yeah, so I hope you're all going to share the video. As you can see, I've caught a bit of sun. So right, I'm going to press the button now and let them get this uploaded, and I'm going to get off for a couple at McWales. So peace out, keep on trucking, keep supporting boxing. Don't forget Kieran Farrell's show in August at Bowlers in Manchester. If you go onto Kieran's social media, you'll see that. Joe Gallagher's got some fighters on there, Marcus Morrison amongst others. And it looks like it's shaping up to be a good show. So get behind them. The boxing through and through. I mean, we all know Joe Gallagher's up at 6 and you know he's in bed at 1 a.m. He's out go 19 hours a day. So try doing that when you've got a family. And so get behind them. All right, get to that show if you can get there. And it's what boxing's all about. It's not all about Matchroom and Eddie Hill's shows, is it? The 4-0 Iceman, free by way off. Hey, super heavyweight star, isn't that right, Eddie Hills? Hey, old Pinocchio with big long conch. All right, ta-ta.